Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. Now, for many years since I've been doing astronomy, doing a lot of visual work, a lot of astrophotography, I've always wanted this item. Now, I've imaged quite a lot of subjects in the night sky, from deep sky objects to nebula, the moon, the planets and the sun. Now, imaging the sun can be quite difficult sometimes or quite easy, but the one thing you've got to be careful is when you're imaging the sun, making sure you use a proper dedicated solar filter like this one. This is a white light solar filter which you put over your telescope. So you place it on top of the objective lens where the light gets filtered out. Very crucial that you guys and girls use a solar filter. Please do not use any of the cheap, tacky rubbish out there that's on a lot of websites. I can't name a few, but I can guarantee you now they're in the bigger businesses and they've been advertising with these cheap screwing, like little tiny solar filters which are absolutely cheap and nasty. Yeah, they cost fraction of a few pounds. Really the most dangerous item you could ever use for viewing the sun. And believe me, if you use those filters and they crack for sake of free, maybe £4, you're going to lose your eyesight instantly. And I totally against what is actually getting sold at the market lately, which is absolutely wrong. Really is. Absolutely disgusts me that there are companies out there that are allowing certain items like that to be sold to this day. And don't forget, this has been an ongoing battle for many years and nothing's been changed. So if you're wishing to view the sun with a telescope or binoculars or any optical device, do your research. I've got videos how to make a solar filter. I've got videos how to do a bit of solar viewing and imaging. Use a dedicated white light solar filter. Barlow do some really good solar filters and a few other good companies. But if you're all considering a solar filter, support your local Astro Retailers out there. They will supply you the good equipment which will be safe to use, not only to protect yourselves but also to protect your family or your friends. Because believe me, when you look through an unfiltered telescope and you look directly at the sun, okay, I guarantee you now you burn the retina in your eyes and you've lost your vision instantly. Right? This is instant damage straight away. Because don't forget, your focus, a magnified light, all that light is unfiltered. So it's not just the light, it's the radiation and the intensity of that heat. It's that heat and the radiation that can really burn your eyes out. Alright, and seriously, under no circumstances, avoid the cheap crap that is out there. And believe me, it is literally out there. But believe me, it really is quite worrying. So do your research, get yourself one of these fantastic solar filters. They do not cost that much money and you can make one yourself. Okay, they really are available, quite easily available. You can't go wrong by getting the bog standard visual solar filter, and believe me, you see some amazing detail at the sun. You'll see a slight bit of granulation. Usually you could use a solar corridium filter, that can also help, but please, you know, you can also see some of the sunspots as well, so sunspots are visible. However, using a white solar filter does have its limitations. And the main problem is I've always wanted this item. Now over the years I've used solar filter and I've produced some fantastic images, but as I mentioned before, it has its limitations. You can only do so much. because it only filters a certain light wave spectrum. Okay, so it's just purely for the white spectrum only, and that's a problem when viewing the sun. So over the years I've been using solar filters. They are great, but I have been questioning myself time after time after time, and believe me, it was quite hard for me to really consider this move. And in a way, you know, I'm so glad that it's happened. Now, I've always wanted a solar dedicated hydrogen alpha telescope. Unfortunately, with these telescopes, they are not a cheap item. In fact, you could pay a region of £1,000 plus, probably £800 as cheap as that. There are a lot of good solar telescopes out there. I know the PST 40mm from Colorado is a really good beginner solar telescope. You've got the Lump 50mm, which is a really good solar telescope. And the good thing about these telescopes, you can have the option to put a double stack filter in, so you can see more detail on the sun's surface. And what these hydrogen alpha telescopes, they are dedicated just purely for the sun. You can see a lot of detail of prominences, chromospheres, filaments, solar flares, you name it. You can see a lot of details other than just sunspots, which the solar white filter can only provide. And to be honest with you, there are mixed reviews on this product that I've got. So I purchased the Solar Daystar Chromosphere Eyepiece filter for refractors, and that's the thing about this Daystar that I've got. I've saved a lot of money. I had to make some lot of careful decisions considering this item. Alright, I have broken the wallet, and I'll be honest with you guys and girls, it is really a big step to make, and especially if you're investing almost £1,000 for this item. It really is a lot of money to consider, but I went for it. And like always, you take the risk. If you save your cash and you're wise with your money, go for it and see what happens. So in this video is here to help you guys and girls out. If you're really considering buying this item, then this video will help reinforce your decisions. Alright, and believe me, if you like what you see in this video, please hit the like button. And again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe onto my channel. And if you're considering buying this item, or you like to share this video out, again, share this video out to other people as well. Also, hit the bell, hit the notification bell. By hitting that bell, all that's going to do will help you get notified for any videos that are coming out very, very soon. And believe me, like always, I have loads of reviews, loads of ideas that are springing to my mind. Alright, but believe me, I have got tons of stuff ready and waiting. It's just, I just need the time, I just need the clear skies to push out these video content. And believe me, it's by hitting that bell, you'll get notified and you will not miss out. So, like always, if you're interested on this Daystar Chromosphere Hydrogen Alpha Eyepiece, please keep watching and let's do this. Here we have the package, and as you can see, well packaged from 365 Astronomy, and as you can see, it came in really quick, and just by confirming the package if it's in stock, alright, and like I say, Zoltan and his team are very, very helpful. Now the reason why I ordered from 365, it's not only at a cheap price of £999. I didn't have to pay for posting, it came with the package. And the other thing that I like, and what 365 Astronomy have done is, usually when you order the eyepiece, it doesn't come with extras, right? It comes with a single package, and one of those items, and I like to address this, is when you order your QUARK, or if you order QUARK, you find that you need to power the eyepiece. Now what I found with ordering from 365, they provided a hand warmer, which is a 2-to-1 hand warmer, and power bank. Alright, so they've ordered, you get this free. Now it's only a 6 amp or 6,000 milliamps per hour USB powered battery, but it's a really nice gift from 365. These cost around about 29, maybe 39 pounds, I'm not quite sure, but you need this item to charge up the eyepiece on the QUARK. Alright, and the QUARK runs off at 1.5 amps per hour. So this is a really nice little gift. Really impressed on 365 Astronomy to provide this as part of the package. And again, please check out the link below. Alright, with this item, you do get, when you order a QUARK, you get this item for free. Now I'm just certain it's only a limited stocks, but please check them out. They provide this power pack. It really is a nice little gift, alright, and I'm really impressed already. So, and again, it's all in the warranty. I'm not going to go too deep on the power bank itself. Alright, so really nice little gift there. So we're going to take the package like always. It is well wrapped, well packaged. I did take out a lot of packaging beforehand, but yeah, it's all bull wrapped and it's all there and squared away. So as you can see, I've ordered myself this. I will explain in a lot of detail. This is the Barlow UV IR cut and luminance filter. Now this will become apparent. This cost me around about £79. Alright, for a 2-inch. I've got a 2-inch format IR filter. So here's the QUARK. Lovely, lovely box. Alright, lovely box indeed. Now as you can see here, well packaged, very nice box. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look in the box. So as you can see, we've got quite a few items in here. I didn't expect this, but now this obviously seems to be the container where the eyepiece is stored. So I'm not going to go, we're going to look at that closer detail. So, oh yeah, so look, some more stuff coming out. Of course, you get some free solar glasses, which are quite handy in a way. Alright, particularly if you want to look at the eclipse, solar eclipse. These are quite a nice little gift being issued out from Daystar. So yeah, so you get one of them. In this box, yeah, so these items here are power connections. So obviously, in fact, quite a lot of power connections. So we got we got a Euro plug there. We definitely got an American, and we've got a Eastern one, and we've got the UK power adapter as well. So you got 4 different ports of power, and this looks like is the power which you connect to AC, and which will convert it to a DC power supply for your QUARK eyepiece. So there's a power adaption, but the only disadvantage is you've got to plug it in the mains for the eyepiece to work. Which, okay, sounds alright, but to be honest with you, if not great if you're remote, if you're using this item in a remote location where power is just not possible. So yeah, it does have a power adaption, which I find a bit strange really for a solar eyepiece to be powered by electric. But again, I've done my research and I just went for the dive. There are some solar dedicated telescopes that don't require power. They just tuned up with a pressure tuner, and then you can adjust the instrument wavelets. All right, because that's what the power is needed, is to charge up the echelon. And that echelon, once that gets charged and energized, the power is needed so you can change different wavelets in the angstroms wavelets. So you're adjusting each wavelet to show a certain amount of detail between a chromosphere, surface detail, or prominence detail. But this will become apparent, okay? So there's a little message here, which is really nice, and it reads out, on the 17th of July, I tested a Daystar QUARK Chromosphere, which I labelled as QUARK 2. I've used my William Optics Zenith Star 61 Apple telescope mounted on a Skywatcher Solar Quest tracking mount. Now the images were taken with my Zoo 174mm mono camera using this Sharkcat Pro software. A Zoo tilting unit was also incorporated to eliminate any Newton rings. I don't know what that means, but obviously I need to do some more research what that is. Now the QUARK was powered by a small power bank, and the display light turned green in 10 minutes and remained on green for the whole test. The video taken was stacked in auto stack software, and the best 10% of the frames selected in the stack TIFF file was then wavelet sharpened in Registacks and later post-processed in Photoshop CC. The one image attached is showing an even illuminated field and good detail, and it says there, written by John 365 Astronomy Advisor. So that's really nice actually. What we've got here, we've got a nice little note on there. They actually tested out the QUARK eyepiece to check see if it was working, and as we can see here, we've got an image there from the actual camera. So if we take a close look, alright, as you can see there, can you see that, guys and girls? So that is the actual photograph they've taken through a mono camera. So as you can see there, there's a huge amount of detail in there of, looks like a few sunspots. It's really nice actually. I don't know what all these key features are, but obviously we've got a bit of a sunspot there. We've got a bit of filament here. Alright, there's quite a lot of detail, and there's also loads of gradulation in that image there. So that is really good from that retailer, 365 Astronomy. So they've already tested out the eyepiece, which is boosts me with a lot of confidence there. I didn't expect that. Alright, so you've got a proper image, plus what they've given you that it works, but also in that message it tells you how they've used it to compose that image as well. So that's really nice key information there. Nice little touch there. I'm actually quite chuffed with that. So you've got an image there and a little message. So that boosts me a lot of confidence. I've got an eyepiece, QUARK eyepiece that actually works and it's been tested properly. So that is a nice little touch there. And again, there's not many retailers that do that. I mean, I wasn't expecting this. So that is pretty awesome. So anyway, and finally what we've got is the instruction manual. And as you can see from the instruction manual, it looks to me very well detailed there. A lot of information there. So I'm going to do a lot of swatting here and do my research. However, I'm going to utilize all the information that's input from here and put it on this video. As we go through the video, I'll do a walkthrough, talk through in my terms. And it tells you a lot of good information. Yeah, there's loads of information. So it tells you how to set it up. There's obviously some precautions for care maintenance. Uses additional filters. It also explains about using eyepieces with it and camera advice. It also tells you about how to use it with focal reducers. In the manual also highlights what can you see with this eyepiece setup. So that's a really nice little information there. And there's even a troubleshooting guide. And a really good thing about this item is it's got a 5-year warranty, and that's really good. Alright, there's not many items that come with a 5-year warranty, but this comes with a 5-year warranty, which is also good to know. Now, because it's a sealed unit, I would not recommend, and I'm not going to, strip out the QUARK eyepiece. Alright, again, I'm using this manual as my guide. It seems to be a very well detailed manual indeed, and that's exactly what you want. So a really good guide, and looking at how it's laid out really nicely. So anyway, enough of that. We're going to take a closer look on the actual eyepiece itself. Now straight away, I love these screw-in cases. Alright, fantastic all around, right? These give out good protection, and they keep out the dust, and they protect the eyepiece, and they just screw on like so. Oh, it's padded as well, so that's also good to know. Alright, so yeah, padded at the bottom as well, so both ends are padded. That looks like a desiccant, which it is. That keeps the eyepiece dry. Like I said before, with a lot of CCDs or dedicated Astro cameras or even DSLR cameras, you know, when you're using these equipment, make sure they are completely dry, alright, because these equipment are very sensitive. So putting a bit of desiccant in a tube or in a container helps to draw out all that excessive moisture that's either got trapped inside the eyepiece or the camera itself. So as you can see, it's all wrapped up in this poly foam stuff, and there we go. This is, wow, that is beautiful. Beautiful, look at that. That is absolutely stunning. So as you can see here, it's quite lightweight. Probably weighs about 200, maybe 300 grams, if that. Alright, don't feel particularly heavy itself, but as you can see, I've got the Chromosphere model, alright, indicated on the side, alright, from Daystar. I love the ionized red colour, love the colour indeed. Specifications on this eyepiece. The wavelength it operates is at 6,562.8, I think it's angstroms it's indicated here. Now the tuning knob, there's a tuning knob, so when you power it with the mini USB here, there is a tuning knob where you turn each of the increments, alright, so there's different clicks on each position. Now on each click, it operates at plus or minus 0.5 angstroms, and every click operates around about 0.1 angstroms of increments. So what that does, so if you operate the knob leftwards, you can see it indicating there. Alright, if you're moving it anti-clockwise, what you're doing is you're adjusting the angstroms to adjust more on the prominence. So when you look at the sun's disk, you start to see a lot of these heat waves coming out from the disk, and that shows that up more. If you turn the knob clockwise, what you're doing is you're focusing more on the chromosphere. In other words, all the detail within the sun's disk, and that intensifies that wavelength of light to focus on the detail. Now, this is the reason why I've gone for the chromosphere, because there's two different models. There's one that's more or less used for the prominence, which is those flares that stick out from the sun's disk, but I wanted more of the detail as well. So for sacrificing the detail on the prominences, I wanted more detail on the surface detail. But again, there are two different models, so I went for the chromosphere purely because I want a bit of both. The only sacrifice is I won't get fantastic quality with the prominences with this eyepiece. So as you can see here, each click, there's 5 clicks on each of the settings. So depending on what clicks you do, alright, depends on the amount of level of detail there is, alright, you can, on where you can see through your eyepiece or your camera through the telescope. Now this model operates and fits between f4 to f9 refracted telescopes. Alright, this is only suitable for the refractors. You can buy another model which is different. Now, again, the other model is a little bit shorter than this. In fact, I don't think there is a Barlow lens on the other model. But if you've got a Schmidt-Cassegrain or a Mak Sct telescope, ideally with multiple lenses and mirrors, alright, those type of telescopes, you need to order the Sct and Mak variant. The other variant does work with long focus refractors or bigger refractors, but to be honest here, this is perfect between the f4 and f9 refractors. Please, guys and girls, this eyepiece is not suitable for Newtonian reflectors. The main problem with reflectors, they have a huge aperture field of view, and that intensifies the sun's rays a lot more, and usually with that you need to include some kind of energy reduction or rejection filter over that telescope. To be honest with you, coatings on a Newtonian are very delicate, and to be honest with you, if you're going to use this eyepiece, stick to a Schmidt-Cassegrain or Mak Sct or a refractor within that league of telescopes. As you can see here, this has a built-in Barlow lens as well. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing having the incorporated Barlow lens in there, but it's an integrated, fully baffled 2-element 4.3 times. Now everyone gets confused, it's a 4.2 times. Actually it's not, it's actually a 4.3 times Barlow lens. Again, that Barlow lens is optimized at 656 nanometers. Now that is the wavelength in a light spectrum. So this operates quite a lot in the hydrogen alpha region at 656 nanometers. This is why this eyepiece is not suitable for Sct and Mak Sct telescopes, because they have longer focal lengths. And the other thing is, when you use a high-end Barlow lenses, the image of the sun will be really dim. So the other model doesn't have an integrated Barlow lens. It does have a blocking filter. Now I don't know if this is the blocking filter, but we've got a blocking filter in there, and that's 12 millimeters. All right, that's 12 millimeters diameter blocking filter. Again, you want to protect the eyepiece by covering it up. You cannot afford to get any form of dust or anything getting in there. All right, but it does explain how to clean it. We take a look on the other side. We've got 1.25 inches
It looks like it's screwed on as well, so you can actually screw on certain items. Alright, but I'm not going to unscrew it because I don't want to sort of touch things I shouldn't be touching. But it looks like you can unscrew the 1¼ nose piece or eyepiece barrel. It's well capped as well, so it's all well secured. And as you can see, we take a close look. As you can see here, we've got the Etalon. Now this Etalon we've got here is a 20mm clear aperture Etalon. Now it states here that this aperture limit, it's usable for large telescopes, but it can operate telescopes, smaller telescopes under the 450mm. Alright, so you can use it if you use those telescopes, the focal length of 450 or less, you'll get a full disc of the sun. If you're using telescopes with a longer focal length, then getting full solar discs is not possible through the eyepiece. So again, this operates on a lot of telescopes within the refractor ranges, and believe me, you can operate it for a lot of apertures. So as you can see, we've also got a 2-inch format. So if you've got a mirror diagonal or a 2-inch eyepiece holder on your telescope, you can slot it in there, alright, which gives out better security. I like how Daystar have made an aluminium slot that's been cut out so that if you've got a lockdown screw, it can go through there. And again, if we take a close look on the blocking filter itself, alright, we've got a thread here so you can screw in an 1¼ filters, and also fits in 1¼ format focuses. So there's some nice touches there. I love the ionized aluminium machined, and it is CNC machined setup here. Absolutely gorgeous. Now as you see here, it can fit additional items with your optional 2-inch and SCAT accessories available with this eyepiece. So there is options to attach a DSLR camera. Alright, so you can use a 2-inch eyepiece holder, or you can use a T2 adapter so you can attach your DSLR camera on there. Alright, so there's a variety of things you can do with it. The power is required is USB power, alright, using a mini USB power at 5 volts, and this will operate at 1.5 amps per hour using a female micro B connector. Again, this can be used in conjunction with my power bank here, alright, being supplied. This will operate that, and again you can use the AC adapters if you wish. So the dimensions on this eyepiece is around about 55mm in diameter by 71mm and 146mm long. So it is quite compact and it doesn't stick out. Alright, so it's not a bulky item, even though it's got the incorporated Barlow lens. Alright, there is a lot of electronics inside this eyepiece. Don't ask me what's installed with there. But we've got an LED light there, which is looks like a power status LED. That is the only electronic parts installed in there. So I have no idea what's in there. So, and again, I do like the 5-year warranty you supply with it. So that's the rough specifications of this Quark. And again, there's a lot of items in there. There's one thing I did miss out is you've got the brass knurled compression ring. Again, some very nice features there. And again, there are loads of additional items. You can upgrade this item for other applications. So as stated in the manual, it does state to use a mirror diagonal in conjunction with the Quark eyepiece. Now you can use an 1¼ or 2-inch format mirror diagonals. Personally, depending on your telescope, I will go for the 2-inch format. They're a lot more solid, they're a lot more sturdier than the 1.25" piece. But you can use this eyepiece in conjunction with that. Another method is you can use extension tubes. Now, extension tubes variety of 2-inch to 1.25", and again, to prove this handy feature that he's issued, you slot the 1.25" like so in line into the nil edge there. See that there? And you just lock the thumb screw. So you can use extension tubes, but the one thing, the main problem with that is if you're mounting an eyepiece or you're mounting a camera, you're making the barrel longer. Overall, your total length of your telescope will be increased, which can lead into problems, particularly if you're imaging the sun or you're viewing the telescope. Can be very difficult, especially if the telescope is pointing straight up to the sun and the sun's like on the highest point. Extension tubes just don't simply cut it. Now, bear in mind, you won't lose light through an extension tube. However, you will lose a bit of light through a mirror diagonal. However, the mirror diagonal, use a high quality one if you can. Ideally, ideally use a high quality diagonal like this 99% dielectric coated mirror diagonal. This will give you the best light source. So with my mirror diagonal, I take off the 2-inch, I take off the 1.25" eyepiece holder. Okay, make sure you remove the dust cap. Very important. When you're taking an image of the sun, you don't want these dust caps to melt into the optics. So remove the dust cap, exposing the blocking filter. You then insert it into the mirror diagonal like so, nice and flush. Lock it down. Now, if you've got a 60mm or you've got something that's less than 80mm aperture telescope, you can use this configuration. However, I will be using the Barlow IR UV filter, and to be honest with you, what this does, it will protect this eyepiece from getting burnt out. Alright, because the increased aperture will increase the intensity of the sun's rays. So what this IR filter does, it blocks out UV below 400 nanometers and IR above 680 nanometers. This filter is designed. This will give you the maximum transmission, and it's hard coated. And with this coating, it will filter out a lot of the harmful rays. And all you do is you screw it onto the mirror diagonal. So you screw it in like so. That is now the setup I'm using. This will be the setup I will be using for any of my refractors, and unless I'm using if I'm using a refractor that's less than 80mm, you don't really need this filter. But if you're using this eyepiece QUARK for the bigger telescopes, 80mm or over, then this is very, very, very crucial. Now, this can filter apertures up to 120mm, but when you go past that point, that's when you need to start investing on a energy rejection filter. Now, the energy rejection filter basically covers on the cap of your objective lens of your refractor, all the light will get automatically filtered through, and it's not going to burn out the optics or the electronics inside this eyepiece. This will cut out a lot of the radiation and the heat transmission passing through, burning the diagonal mirror and burning the eyepiece. So this will filter the stray light. Now this, goes a long way. So you really need a decent IR filter, all right, that will protect this system. And by doing this system, it will increase the life of your quark. So this is the arrangement I will always use, regardless, to be honest with you, regardless on any refractor. This will be the setup I would use. So what we've got here is we've got the 102mm Skywatcher Achromat refractor. Now, what I need to highlight to you guys and girls is when you're doing solar work with the QUARK eyepiece, you do not need an expensive ED or an expensive triplet Apo refractor. Alright? The things with the eyepiece, because it filters a lot of light and it only filters out a certain wavelength, a lot of this the spectrum, like for the chromatic aberration for the red, blue and green, trouble about achromats is they don't correct certain light wavelength of the blue or the red region or the green region, depending on the model. So when you look through a refractor, you always get a purple halo in your images and all that. However, when you're doing solar work, that is not important, because if you're using a mono camera, most of that light is in mono, alright, and a lot of that light is not affected. So I've seen it for all the years, people using highly expensive equipment, refractors, in conjunction for solar work. It's not really important. You can get some really good images even through a dedicated short tube 80mm achromat refractor. And believe me, if you look closely on a lot of the solar dedicated telescopes, a lot of them are achromats, or maybe high quality achromats with just a little bit better glass, but that's all they are. Again, they're expensive enough anyway, but they are basically achromats all the way through. Doesn't really matter what type of refractor or what class, but the reasons for being achromats is because they've got a lot less glass. You're not going to lose a lot of light through them. So an achromat does give out a lot of light. You need that light, it's particularly if you're using high magnification, and that's what the on the QUARK eyepiece with that 4.3 times Barlow, it really does lose a lot of light. So having a lot less glass through the optics of an achromat is better. So I just need to point that out, is you don't need a high class equipment to able to enjoy the hydrogen alpha images or the views. So can you imagine now what I mean? I've done a lot of research and I have seen like a 4-inch or 80mm dedicated solar telescope, and they're in regions of 4,000, 8,000, 12,000 pounds. This what makes me think seriously on considering the QUARK. So I'm fitting this QUARK will basically turn this achromat equivalent to something of a telescope of a similar aperture to cost way in the region of thousands. And this is why that QUARK eyepiece is a big game changer. You think about it, guys and girls, you think about it, the cost. Yes, I totally agree that the dedicated solar telescopes will have more things, more additional optics that makes the image quality better, it makes viewing better. You know, there'll be high quality glass. There'll be a double stack filtration system. There'll be other things up beside that. However, when you're on a limited budget, you think about it. That QUARK eyepiece, okay, just under £1,000. Fit this on this Acromat. I've got something equivalent to something that would have cost £8,000 easily. So think about that, guys and girls, and that's what made me think about it, to go in and get the QUARK. And because this is a 102mm aperture, alright, you've got to make sure that if you're using an aperture of this size, you need to use an IR filter, an IR UV filter. It's a must. So if you've got an aperture more than 80mm of aperture, this is crucial. This is what's needed. However, despite what telescope you have, what aperture, I'm still going to be using this filter regardless of aperture, because this will provide the additional protection needed. And all it is very simple. You get your setup and you just take off the nose piece, 1.25 inches. You can use the additional 1.25 inches for this eyepiece, but what's the point? And all you do is you slot it in place like so. Tighten up the screws. Like so, and voila, you've got a solar telescope that's £8,000 already. I'm not disputing it, but I was thinking about it and it makes sense. It makes common sense. Alright, complete common sense, guys and girls. So really, you think about it now, you've got a very, very capable solar, high-powered solar telescope here already, and we've got the aperture, 4 inch of aperture, providing you use the UV filter, an IR UV filter installed, you should be good to go. This is basically a setup. So as you can see here, with the refractor, we've got the QUARK installed. Now the one thing I need to highlight is, when you're doing solar imaging or viewing the sun through an eyepiece, remove any finder scopes or tar rods or any finders that attach to the main tube. Because of the intensity of the heat of the sun's rays, it could set things on fire. Alright, particularly if it's a lens element, so basically the finder scope itself will magnify that heat and can catch fire. You stick your hand on it. I've known some people have actually caught their face on fire, so their beards were set on fire. Seriously, guys and girls, if you've got any additional items that's attached to the main tube, just simply cap the dust covers over, or easiest option is remove it completely off. By removing it, it's just going to reduce the hazard of any fires getting caused, people getting blinded, you name it. Any additional aiming devices must be removed. Now you can't use the telescope to point it to the general direction using the shadow to locate your target. However, there are easier options. One of the options I highly recommend is get yourself this item. Now I featured this many years ago, but this is basically just like a pinhole that shines the light rays of the sun. You shine a disc in this thing. As you move the telescope mount, alright, you are pointing the telescope towards the sun. This pointing device, this solar finder, it really is an asset. You'll find the sun's disk easily, very effective, and prevent you from looking at the sun. Alright, this will become so handy. Alright, and all you do is just fit it onto the main scope. Now, I featured in another video, please check out the link at the top. Alright, I've actually highlighted this in a video on this review on this Astro Solar Finder. Really is an asset. First off, start off, put your eyepiece like so. Remove the dust cap. And then insert your eyepiece. So yeah, slot it in, tighten up the thumb screw, and there you go. You can alternatively use a zoom camera like this. This is the ISI 120, and again, using 1.25 inch, you can fit the zoom on there like so, and it slots in there. Tighten up the thumb screw, and you can use a zoom camera in conjunction with the QUARK. So with the zoom, you can get a really good close-up images of the surface of the detail on the sun with this refractor. The main disadvantage is you get a narrow field of view with this tiny sensor. Now, to maximize the field of view, alternatively you can use a 0.5 times focal reducer, and I have a nice cheap Antares one. It doesn't really matter, but all this does is you screw it on to the zoom, and you just screw it onto the nose piece like so. You can then fit it onto the QUARK like so. Now you will see it will stick out a bit. Don't let that put you off. But what that does now is that your zoom will have increased field of view, so it will maximize the overall chip size, so you'll get a wider field of view of the sun. Also, it will increase the sensitivity of the camera, so you will use a lot less exposure time as well. And the good thing is with this adaption as well is that with that wider field of view, you'll get more features will be shown in that field of view. Alright, so it will help increase that field of view. It's really important. However, one key aspect that I do need to highlight is do not place the focal reducer screwed on at the blocking filter side. So if you are going to consider fitting a focal reducer, do not fit the focal reducer on this side. Okay, what that'll do is, because you're using a UV filter, ideally if you're going to do that, make sure you've got a energy reduction filter fitted onto the main tube of the objective lens. So just be careful when you're using focal reducers. It does state in the manual to always use a focal reducer between the camera and the QUARK, not before. Okay, so there's many reasons behind it. Providing you follow the instructions, you can't go wrong. So as you can see, remove the zoom camera. If you really want the wide field views, then you're going to have to use a bigger sensor like this DSLR camera I've got here. I've got a Canon 600D, and already you can see it's a very bulky item. I'm using an 1.25 inch nose piece and a T-ring. Yes, it will fit onto the eyepiece on the QUARK. Alright, but as you can see, it's very bulky. You're going to get vignetting in your images, so ideally you need to up the an adaption to a 2-inch T2 adapter or a 2-inch nose piece for enable to fit this setup. Again, if you want to maximize for a full disc image of the sun, bigger the sensor, more wider field of view is needed. But again, using the inch and a quarter format on this camera is a bit cut and paste, to be honest with you. It's not going to cut it because of the narrow field of view on the nose piece. You're going to get vignetting in your images. Now, as you can see at the quark end, you see an orange light. Now that orange light will turn to green. Now in the book it states it will take 10 to 15 minutes to change green. Once it changes green, that means the Etalon is now fully charged. Again, it's using around about 1.5 amps per hour. So please do not use any batteries that only use 1 amp of power. You must use a port with 2.1. Okay, 2.1 amps or 2 amps, which is ideal. You have to wait a few minutes, which I find very, very annoying. Because the system warms up, there's no cool down procedure. So every time you turn each segment, if you turn each segment, that will restart the recharging process. So in other words, if I turn to one instrument to the left or to the right, even just one click, it will start the recharging process again. This is the disadvantage of using the QUARK eyepiece, is waiting long periods of time for the Etalon to be fully charged up. Now, don't ask me how this system works. I have no idea, but it's something I've got to get used to. To be honest with you guys and girls, I mean, you pay for a £1,000 eyepiece for solar work with hydrogen alpha. If we're patient, please be patient, because at the end of the day, well, I don't know what kind of views I'm going to get through this eyepiece, but waiting, just being patient and waiting. Once that turns green, it is ready for use. Already. And oh, here we go. There we go. As you can see there now, the LED light has now turned green. That is now the Etalon on the QUARK now fully charged. So now what you can do, you can use it for visual, connect the camera, take pictures. That's now ready. So then, guys and girls, we've got some patchy cloud passing by. There are some clear spots, so just enough to image the sun. It's a bit of a cat and mouse situation because I'm just waiting for the moments of clear patches. Once the sun is up, hopefully get the zoo ready for action. At the moment she's charging up, like always. Got to wait 10 minutes before it's fully usable, just how it is. But as you can see here, all I do is just get the mount roughly pointing north, and I'll just align to the sun and just lay tracking, solar tracking on my mount, on my EQ5 mount. Once that's tracking away, then hopefully we'll get a clear patch, we can get some good images. Now for this setup you don't need a lot of stuff for solar. Again, once this is charged up, I can just view through the eyepiece, get it focused, and may change the settings. Obviously at the moment it's in the midway point first. Also I'll be using for imaging the good old mighty ASI 120 MCS colour camera. I know there's a few people that have mentioned that mono is the best for astro imaging for the sun, so if you get more detail apparently. With the hydrogen alpha, I haven't got a mono camera as such, but we're going to try colour. Okay, we're going to try a colour camera, because at the end of the day this is a very good webcam for its purpose, right? It does give out good detail. It's a very fast, high frames per rate per second camera. I can get a lot of images within probably 30 seconds and a minute video exposure. That's all I'm going to do. I will get a small field of view of this, so to compensate to widen the field of view, because I'm using a bigger scope, I've just used a 0.5 times focal reducer fitted onto the nose piece here, and then all I do is pop it in there, get it focused using short cap, and then adjust my settings and all that, my exposure, and try to hopefully get some good detail. And that's it. There's not a lot you can do on solar imaging. You just point the telescope. Once the telescope's tracking, and it's within solar tracking as well, slow solar tracking rate, set the shot cap and off your way. That's it. You just take a few portions of the sky in that disk of that sun, anything value of interest in that sun, because I'm using my laptop screen to see where I'm going, and if there's something that I really like and I want to image, as long as I'm focused, I just bang away, capture an AVI file, and that's it. Some people prefer to take still shots. I like to take a video, because when you take a video you get a lot of stacked images, and with those stacked images you stack them using pip to stabilize the image. Then you use AutoStack 2 is my main stacking software, and then I stack it all into one single picture. And that's why I like video photography. So using this camera to take videos of the sun is where I can maximize as much of the hidden detail, particularly when you're not just against the clouds, you're also against the Earth's atmosphere, and the Earth's atmosphere is really unsteady. So at the moment we're still waiting for it to get charged, because it's taking a while, but once that is lit up to green, I should be good to go. Again, using the UV and IR filter built in onto the mirror diagonal which I fitted, that's going to compensate a lot of heat, because don't forget, a lot of heat is going to come drawn into this tube, and it will filter through that filter. Hopefully it keeps everything cool at this end, and will also protect the electronics on the Quark. Very crucial. But you only do that for a telescope that's 80mm of aperture or above. Anything above 120, then you need to start considering fitting an energy rejection filter, which goes on the main top. I will be looking at getting a bigger energy reduction filter, so that I can universally fit it between my 80 ED or my 72 ED or my 102mm refractor, so I can interchange each other one. But any of the smaller refractors, like my 66 ED for example, I don't really need it. I can just live with the IR UV filter, and that is it. That's all you need to do. So apart from that, we'll wait until we get a bit of a clearing. At the moment it's just not happening, so we'll just wait and be patient, and we will get those awesome images. Again, the trouble about this eyepiece, you can't get a good fix onto the but we've definitely got the sun there. It's definitely this colour as well. But like I say, yeah, it's very difficult to try and focus with the eyepiece. Yeah. So as you can see here, we're going through hydrogen alpha. I've got the DSLR camera set at ISO 400 and 1/80th of a second, and as you can see we've got quite a lot of activity on the prominences. Now this would be a wide field view, but you can see a lot of prominences over there. If we just dim down the you can set the exposure so you can get as much of the detail you can, but I'm just going to track the object. So I've got a bit of a I've got a bit of a cloud cover there that's covering up some of the detail, but I'm going to try and focus in and out so I can get some more detail in there. But that cloud is not playing ball at the moment. Once it passes over, hopefully we get to see some of the detail there, but it's just not playing ball with that surface detail. So again, like always, you always need a clear night, you also need a clear day, but we've got some detail. Yeah, we've got some detail, but just some of the prominence regions at the moment I can just physically see. It is a bit disappointing, but that cloud is not helping. So when the cloud passes over, hopefully we get some more detail there. So, as you can see, I've had to improvise because, like always, I forgot to bring a blanket to go over my head when I'm looking at the computer. So what I've done is improvise some waste wood, put bricks to just cast a shadow so I can see what I'm doing on the laptop screen. Now I've got the Zoom ISI 120 fitted with 0.5 focal length. So I've got the focal reducer fitted, and as you can see, imaging. As you can see there, we've got some prominences there, 2 prominences. You can't see it very well. You can just see it now. There's the prominences. Up the gain, you'll be able to see the prominences. Yeah. See now we're imaging the sun. We can see quite a few promises there on the screen, and as you can see I'm just going to sort out some settings on the camera, and got some really good detail there, really good detail. So we've got a lot of passing clouds as well, which causes havoc to the images. Not to worry, we'll have to sort that out. Again, got to wait till it clears up, but we've got some fantastic detail through that quark. Right, so I'm going to move the mount to find out an area of interest where I need to go. Oh, look at that. So what we've got now is some prominences there. I've upped the gain because you do lose a lot of light on the image. So because I ain't got ideal sky conditions either, because I've got passing cloud, it doesn't help. But as you can see there, minimize and as you can see there, that's what I want to do, is get an even balance. So get it reasonably dim, but also I don't want to lose any detail on the prominences. What I can see is some really good detail there, so I'm going to centralize the object. Okay, so I've got some good detail there, so I'm going to do this at 3 minutes, 3 seconds, 47 frames per second. So we're going to take a AVI file, start a capture, go for 30 seconds cloud. So it's not a lot of time, but I'll try and get as much detail as I can. Already got in clouds, so what we're going to do is go wait until that cloud passes, and I'm going to take a shot. As you can see, I've got my settings there, 800, 600, RP24. A lot of take off mono, which I will do later on. But the idea is trying to get as much frames as I can. I've got really good detail there on the prominences and some surface detail. But already it's looking very promising. I'm just going to wait for the last remaining cloud to just get out of view. I'm just going to recenter the target again. Okay, so I'm going to take the shot. Okay, a moment. So we're now going to take the shot, take an AVI file. It's only 30 seconds, you don't need a lot of time, but we've got some good detail there on the surface and the prominence together. I'm trying to get as low as meters per second is low as well. I might need to up the exposure a bit, but I just don't want to up too much gain. So it's now collecting 1300 frames. In fact, it's done it. 30 frames per second. Okay. my setup, and I'm using the dual tandem solar scope setup that I've just made. I've made my own dovetail bar and some obviously some Vixen style clamps, so it is makeshift. So this is a 27-inch Vixen bar, and this dovetail is from my old Mak Sct 180, so why not utilize the dovetail and make a dual system. I got these from First Light Optics. These are around about £27, and they've got a really good locking clamping system, very good permanent setup. I can carry 2 scopes. This is an 80mm ED Lunt engineering refractor. This is I use for visual, and also because I'm using a solar filter, I'm using a continuing filter in my eyepiece, my 25mm eyepiece. So it'll give me the gradulation and the sunspots a bit more prominent surface detail, even though it appears green through the eyepiece. However, it's all about looking, observing the actual structure. I've also got flip mirror system, so I can flip it round and I can take DSLR. So if I flip it to this position, I can take DSLR wide field shots using white light through the ED. And again, with this dovetail system, I can now connect my 66mm Ultra Astro. That's connected up, and I've got the QUARK eyepiece using the Zoo ASI 120. And again, because this system allows me to swap and change the telescope, so if I want to do some hydrogen alpha, I can swap this eyepiece setup around to the ED, okay, onto the 80mm, and then I can swap the DSLR over to the 66. And what that does, it will enable me to swap the filters out. So providing if I'm observing whatever, you've got to make sure that you're always, if you're using white light, get that solar filter, get it swapped round. Now obviously this filter is a bit on the small side, well this filter is a bit on the big side, so I've got one for the 66mm which is wrapped up. So if I am going to swap and change, I'll swap that round and then I'll swap the systems round. This system, what I've got here, I can do quite a lot. So I can just view the sun safely. I can also take wide field DSLR shots in solar or hydrogen alpha, or swap it round for webcam imaging through the QUARK, whatever. You know, it's a really good system there, and as you can see, it's all mounted nicely on the EQ5 mount. Might have to do a meridian flip because it's coming round now where I need to start flipping them out, because the counterweight is literally in butt position, so that's something I need to consider. But other than that, it's a really nice setup, and the QUARK, as you know, you can't really grumble. Guys and girls, what do you reckon? Absolutely fantastic images. Even through an eyepiece, even through a basic planetary camera. What amazing result! I mean, it's the best thing I've ever bought. The Daystar QUARK Chromosphere eyepiece, I think, is such a fantastic device. It's revolutionary. There's so many awesome features on there. I like how it's adaptable between a wide range of refractors. It's a pity they only do in separate models. You can buy them separate if you want the Chromosphere, you're into Proms, or if you're into Chromosphere with the detail. That, you know, there's two choices. Unfortunately, you have to buy this particular eyepiece. It's not adaptable for other telescopes, so if you're using a Sct or a Mak Sct category, you'll have to use a different variant. But again, the price range is almost the same. Alright, I think it's more on the same price as the refractor model. Again, it's a fantastic piece of equipment, very easy to use. The instruction manual is clear, precise, it tells exactly what you need to do. It's even got some useful hints and tips on use of the camera, use of the eyepieces. The only drawback I have with this device is the warm-up procedure on the Echelon is ridiculous. You're waiting between each angstrom clicks. So if you're clicking from each angstroms, you know, 5 clicks to the left or 5 clicks to the right, you'll have to wait 10 and 15 minutes just for that Echelon to be fully charged. However, when it's fully charged and you use it first time, if you change the setting to one setting or 2 settings or whatever, either way you do on the Echelon adjustments, you don't have to wait 5 or 10 minutes. Once the initial charge is up, you can still use the eyepiece or take images through a webcam and still be able to image or look through at the sun. But the problem is though, it takes time for the adjustment to settle, which means it'll throw its focus slightly out and then readjust. So you'll still be able to see the image of the sun's detail on the surface, but at least it will, you can still use it in between the changes. But ideally, you've got to wait for that 10, 15 minutes at the most. So I waited maximum 10 minutes, 55, but again, it all depends on the surrounding temperature out. Maybe it warms up quicker if it's a warm day, but on winter months, you'll be probably waiting for a good 15 minutes for it to be fully charged. So that's the only disadvantage I have with the QUARK. I'd like to say thanks to 365 Astronomy for providing a beautiful package where they included a sample image, a note that they've tested the device, and I do like how they give you the additional thermal charge battery unit to able to operate the QUARK itself, which is a very nice feature. Because usually when you buy from a lot of retailers, you have to buy the external battery itself, and that can be quite pricey. But again, it's not an ample battery. It'll probably give me about a good 4 hours of use at the most, but it's enough to get me by. Alright, it's a pity it doesn't come with the correct charge cable for the QUARK, but beggars can't be choosers. And at the end of the day, it's such a wonderful little package that 365 Astronomy does offer, and I do like that. And again, it didn't cost me with posting, so that's a bonus. And again, the confidence is because they've tested it out. I like that image as well, what they've done. Seeing all that detail in hydrogen alpha, the filaments, the solar flares, sunspot detail, you name it, the chromosphere, all the gradulation and the prominences. What a treat. I mean, I just can't imagine, you know, what I'm saying to you guys and girls. Those images you see there, even the video footage, is exactly what you see through the webcam, through the eyepiece. It's absolutely amazing. Providing you've got good clear skies and all that, it's just totally out of this world. There's so much to see, so much to do, and it creates a new level of astro imaging altogether. And it's probably the best investment I've ever purchased, is to get the Quark. Such a beautiful package. For £1,000, it's a lot of money, but think about the long run. You buy a proper dedicated solar telescope, it may do more functions, it may have better quality images, it may do extra stuff. But what I have here is something that I would have to pay £8 easily. So think of it, at my point of view, is £1,000 sounds a lot of money to a lot of people, and I totally get the frustration from a lot of people, a lot of my members and my viewers. However, if you can save the cash, just save up bit by bit. I mean, I've been saving for months and months and months, and I'll be honest with you guys and girls, I've saved a lot of my money to get this far, and to me it's worth every penny. If you're motivated, save up the cash, you can get this eyepiece at a fantastic price. Just save up the cash as best you can. And if you one of those certain individuals that cannot afford it, then my best advice to you guys and girls is get yourself a dedicated solar filter and just use white light only. But using white light, I've been capturing amazing images of sunspots, some mild gradulation. End of the day, astronomy does not have to be expensive, but using just white light solar filters, you'll see a lot of detail. So if you're on a limited budget, then stick to the solar. But apart from that, if you're strapped for cash and you need to save that cash, just save bit by bit, achieve your goals, and once you've got that budget, go for the Quark. Seriously, it is absolutely the best thing I've ever bought. And I don't care what people say that they bought dedicated solar telescopes. For me, getting that eyepiece, I will not outgrow it, because I can always find many uses, because I can adapt it to other telescopes. So I can adapt it to my bigger refractors, I can adapt it to my smaller refractors. I am not restricted. The only thing I probably will not be able to use the eyepiece is if I am using it with a Newtonian or a Mak Sct category, because I will need to use a different style of quark. This is only dedicated for the refractors, and personally I prefer refractors for solar imaging because they do provide the best clear aperture with razor sharp images, regardless if it's an achromat or an ED or a tripler. The limit is endless. I find that this variant of the QUARK Chromosphere is the good all-rounder, because I can still get the promises. They're still okay, they're not as great compared to the other Prominence Quark, but if you like your promises, then go for that model. However, personally, I prefer and I highly recommend for first time users, first time buyers, is to get the Chromosphere model, because it's a good all-rounder. you'll still get the promises, but with the Chromosphere you'll get a little bit more bang for the buck. In other words, you will get more detail. You'll start to see more filaments, more solar flares, more gradulation, you name it, sunspots. There's a lot to see, and it's either one or the other, but both can be used for the same things. It's just one is better than the other. Alright, one is good for the Chromosphere, the other is better for the promises, and that's what counts. Despite the 4.3 times Barlow lens, which can put people off, if you're using a short focus refractor, you can use a smaller aperture and use a bigger camera sensor on there. You will get the full disc, but you've got to sacrifice one or the other. But the thing is, a lot of people don't like the Barlow built in. It's not really that bad, but I can see why QUARK have designed it in a certain way. Okay, so the thing is with QUARK is you need a lot of high focal length, around f30, even more, to get the ideal sweet spot for imaging solar work, particularly for the fine detail on the surface. And that's why that Barlow lens is incorporated into the system. You can buy one without it, but it will only work for the Sct and the Mak users, which can be, it's a bit frustrating, but because they got the field of view, then it's not important. However, with this system, you need the Barlow lens to boost that image scale to get that finer detail, which is highly important. But with a system like this, particularly a 4-inch refractor adapted to this, in theory I've got something equivalent of an 8 grand hydrogen alpha solar telescope. And you can say what, I'll probably get a lot of people hate this, what I say, but to be honest with you, if you're a first time buyer and you're never going into solar imaging, do yourself a favour, guys and girls. Forget a dedicated solar telescope. I would say consider buying the eyepiece, because that is the best move, to be honest with you. And I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. And the advantage of using this system is, yeah, you have to charge it, you have to plug it in. However, you will not outgrow the system, because if you feel that you're using a 60mm refractor is not good enough and you want a bigger setup, say like you want to fit it to a 150mm refractor, then all you have to do is swap out the optical tube, put the 150mm refractor on there, put the setup back in, use the energy reduction filter in place to protect the QUARK, and bingo, you've got more aperture. More aperture results more finer detail on the surface of the sun, and it really is endless. And that's what I'm trying to get to you guys and girls. You can use a bog standard achromat, much cheaper than a dedicated solar telescope. You'll never outgrow it, and you can use it for many applications. You can swap and change webcam to a camera or DSLR camera for full disc. The list is endless, and that's what I'm trying to say to you guys and girls, because there's just so much things you can do. And as you can see, those outstanding images, those images are just totally, I was totally blown away when I even just looking through the eyepiece. I was totally blown away. I was totally amazed. I'd never thought it was possible to see that kind of detail. But believe me, what I'm saying to you guys and girls, it is absolutely staggering to see that level of detail, and it's unbelievable. And it's just put a new bug that's now biting me now. The new solar bug of imaging is just, now I can't stop imaging the sun now. It really is fantastic. I mean, forget the moon. The sun is absolutely fantastic to image. Really is totally out of this world. Really is. What a fantastic buy. And to be honest with you, would I recommend this Quark from Daystar? Yes, I would, and I would give it 5 stars. And reason why I give it 5 stars, I should have knocked it down a bit, but to be honest with you, if you can live with the recharge times, if you can cope with that and be patient, then it's definitely worth 5 stars all the way through. It's totally worth that money. And to be honest with you, please guys and girls, get yourself a Quark from Daystar today, because it is unbelievable what you're going to see. It really is. Those images you see, the videos, exactly what you see, are just totally mind-blowing. Really is worth that money. So if you liked the video, please hit a like button. And again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe onto my channel. And again, please share this video out, because again, I cover this in a lot of detail. I know guys and girls, my videos are very long, but they are very constructive. This is not an entertainment channel by any means, because at the end of the day, I'm here to give important advice, real advice, not just showing off equipment, showing off your talent and stuff like that. I'm here to actually show you guys and girls how to do this. There will be a new video coming out how to set up my Quark for my webcam, because at the end of the day, that's a new video that I have to publish out, because again, this is already a long video, so I'll be imaging with the Quark and show you guys and girls some hints and tips how to image the sun. Alright, so please look out for that video. And again, please share this video out. Please share it out, because this is going to help a lot of people get into solar imaging or viewing. So again, please share the video out. And again, please hit the bell. By hitting the bell will keep you notified for any new videos coming out. And believe me, I have got tons of videos all waiting. Just need that clear skies, the filming. I'll be ready. I'll publish it out and deliver the good video content that you guys and girls want. So, thanks again. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a Quark. Start looking up at the sun. Start seeing the wow images. So, thanks again. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all clear skies.